Alright, so we're off to the Burial Isles where we're going to explore and find some adventure. We've got our party for the end game. Super excited because I'm so confident the end dungeon can't be that big because you only get two rest supplies. So it can't be that big. Oh, here's our adventuring otters going to a mysterious tomb. I think it's amazing what AI can do. All right. We've got a rest bonus. All of these are people who have something for Thaos or the Burial Isle. So we go, we jump in a pit, we beat up Thaos, we flip off the gods, and we go home. That is the plan. It's a good plan. It's the best plan. It is our plan. Let me make sure the audio input capture device is the right one. It is.
Not as beautiful as the Anguithan ruins near my home, but
shut up, Hiravias. You're here. We just wanna make you happy, and that's the only reason you made it to the final party. That, and we gave you a giant hammer. Except it's an old song. I hope Hiravias' quest doesn't make us have to turn around.
Hail, Estremor.
Just stock up on those scrolls of paralysis there. So this can't be the point of no return because we can go do Hiravias' quest. Thanks, Dorval. So these are the big statues that they were all excited about the builders making oh so long ago. We didn't want to do a servant of death because we're not murdering an entire cult.
Kind of place.
Thanks, Aloth.
Do you remember when we were children? I remember when I heard that. I snuck out at night and... That fort burned down a few years ago when we cast the missionaries out. It was the missionaries who set fire to it. They didn't... I miscalculated many things since this began. I always knew this path would have consequences.
Alright, Iovara, that's great.
I don't think I can stay here any longer. I am told the Inquisition is gathering an army. If war is coming, I should be doing what Thaos is doing. I will need allies. Osionis. They have held off many would-be.
That's weird. I would have thought we got to warn her about that, but I guess not. Hey, look. I assume these are the souls that all of the gods want us to collect. A feral druid, another feral druid. Aloth. Make that happen. And control that shade. Durance. Buffs.
yeah.
Hiravias. Lightning.
That's going to... Need something? That's it. What?
Hiravias, you can go back to your hammer now. And actually be a cat.
Mind feels sharp as steel.
Die!
There we go. Good job over there, Hiravias. Punch the specters out.
On the hunt.
Alright. Is this the Court of Stars? Feels like the Court of Stars wouldn't be right here. This is just dramatic point.
Margaret's fire casts light in dark places.
Alright, welcome to the Grotto of Echoes. That sounds like a place we might find some Stilgar. Oh, hey, it actually is.
I am Hiravias, child of the Fisher Crane, adept of the Hawk and Ivy, wanderer of Eretha. Too formal?
Oh, they're soul twins. We're in Orland too. I feel like that's racist. Well, questioner first, a hunter second. Okay, well, that's good. But most importantly, you're a hammerer. No, we're not leaving this place. We've got a final boss to beat.
Need something? Oh, what is it about Delumgon that gets my tree trunk blooming? My logic tells me that they don't have any good poke holes and probably kill you after copulation. Still. Yes, indeed. Oh, I once saw one bathing. I was so startled I forgot I was in my spirit form. So I think my come hither gestures had a few too many times. Need something? Curious about your Her zeal is sincere, and I can tell you she's destined to die on her feet. And she's easy on the up.
Let's talk about anything. Anything else, my friend. All
I
right.
can speak another. Hey.
Good job. Eder, do you have anything new? No. Grieving Mother, you've got nothing new?
How may I help?
Literally, why are you giving me a quest we're never gonna finish it? Fine. Raskin, deal with it.
How may I help?
Aloth, you've got nothing to add to any of this, right? Oh, maybe he'll have any thoughts on what I should do next?
What?
We really mean, after going this far, to just tell Durance, by the way, it's time for you to go.
Steady does it.
Steady does indeed do it. You see that vision in a lot of places. Really, it's just one shade. I don't think it's...
No good.
That wasn't even a fair fight for the poor thing.
Nice and quiet.
Eder didn't even get out of stealth for it.
If secrets whisper here, I shall listen for them.
Is this the entrance to Sun and Shadow? No, that's to the blocked passage. What is this? Last Blade of the White Forge. It's just exceptional in speed. You know what? Sure. I guess if you've come this far without getting a good sword, you can be bound to get one. Pop out that pistol because it's just a little crowded in there. It's a little crowded in there.
That's it.
Okay, everyone out. Everyone
Sure.
out. Okay, everyone out. Durance, pop that heal before the fight ends to... Oh, there's still one alive.
Right.
Is this the way that he blocked off? The staircase coils upwards. Alright, let's clear it with a pry bar, nice and safe like. End game save, no turning back. Continue.
Yeah.
That's it. What? Yeah?
Hey,
I can't. Someone pick me up.
I'm stuck.
Let's go ahead and burn a spell. Hey, no more pistols. Get in there and do some cleanup.
Burn this away.
Let's get a nice heal off. Alright, a bunch of spirits out of the way.
If secrets whisper here, I shall listen for them.
Margaren's fire casts light in dark places.
quiet.
I assume up there is where we want to be.
Let's go.
Let's use another big spell, medium spell. Drop that there.
Lower. Thaos, seek.
Good job. There we go. Good job. Even more evil spirits defeated. Alright. Everything looted.
My thoughts will be as silent as my feet.
Why is there just... I honestly don't understand their decision to put some loot in some places. What is this? Of might +3? No.
Indeed.
We're as
Let's go.
we're as well geared as we're gonna be, I think. We're not even checking. Alright. There we are. Is this it? Is this the Burial Isles? Alright then.
They shall see nothing while I see much.
Collect some more.
Hey,
Should have just walked up. Okay, we got that one from pretty far away. Let's save. End game, no turning back. There actually is turning back, but we're not doing it. All right.
Another turn, Inquisitor. I ask again, Iovara ix Encios, do you confess to these heresies of which you stand accused?
I confess to renouncing a mistake.
Do you confess to conspiracy against the one true faith?
I confess to opening minds.
Do you confess to false prophecy?
I confess to following a false prophet.
Close enough. Let's let her go.
Indeed. And where...
Oh, come on, Thaos. You're walking into this.
He wears the robes of a Grand Inquisitor.
You have no followers here, heretic. Your lies hold no sway in the court of the penitents.
Thaos deserves everything he gets.
Only my truth, then.
Another turn.
No.
You
I'm ready to hear one from you.
if this doesn't inspire faith in the gods, I don't know what will.
All right, team. Ready for a... Ooh, let's do a rest before we go down there. I don't know what we're going to fight. Let's do the safe thing. Just damage reduction across the board. Jump! Oh, sure, we'll do high level. Welcome to Act 14. Now it's got to reload the high level stuff.
After what seems like an eternity, your rapid descent comes to an abrupt end.
That's
You remain
bad.
still for a moment while your heart settles and your eyes adjust, breathing in stale, forgotten air. Before you, a narrow and eroded walkway becomes faintly visible in the dim light, cutting a winding path through a cavern so expansive it seems a world unto itself. In the distance, you can make out the cold gleam of living Adra veins that spike and fork in and out of view from the murky depths beneath, their glow a faint and fleeting guide along the ancient trail. Now barely a speck of light like some distant star, alone in the cosmos, and forever out of reach. Your only way lies ahead.
We're not alone. We've got 5 of my best friends right here. Well, 4 of my best friends and Durance.
Laying low. Sure.
That went better than I expected.
I think that statue of Woodica was watching us soil ourselves on the way down.
Everyone all right? No shattered knees? Good. Just me, then.
This place is cursed.
Thanks, team, for your vote of confidence. A necklace of
Right.
fireballs. Oh, wait, no, we used the rest. Give me that. Oh, okay.
Worth a look.
Alright. No holding back. Give it your all and disarm these traps, Daramir. This doesn't feel like high level content. You cannot access the stronghold. No, it's gonna just have that green alert that something's happening for the rest of the game.
Found something. Let's go.
Good job.
I wish you no harm.
Yeah. Finished. Got him.
My mind.
What? That's it.
No good.
Lava will be on sea.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah? On the hunt.
Alright. Keep going around. Your plan, kill the animat first.
Yes?
Your thoughts must flow deeply indeed.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Die!
Let's get the buff up. You have this.
Huh?
This.
Lava on sea. Let's go. Got him.
That's it.
Let's go. Let's go.
That's not very helpful.
It's super helpful. Why are you guys not shooting your guns?
Let's go.
My thoughts were
Sure.
Alright, this way?
How may I help?
Just do that again. Really just blast away so that there's a nice clear path. Do that.
Your thoughts must...
Get up close, please.
That's not very helpful.
Let's go. You're not getting through me.
Yeah, because I think he turned
Found something.
I shall be discreet.
unnecessarily rude to put a trap there.
Laying low.
Okay.
Love. Love. Seek. Got him.
All right, we can use another one of these. Just trying to clear out.
Got him.
That one next.
Yeah.
Eder, do a knockdown.
This one repel.
No good.
There you go, and then the Divine Mark ended the fight.
If secrets whisper here, I shall listen for them.
Soup Guardian? Soul Guardian. Way more sense.
Finished.
My thoughts will be as silent as my feet.
Yeah, no, Soul Guardian makes way more sense.
Quiet.
What? No, don't use abilities that don't work.
Not even slowing it.
None of you are immune to lightning. Great. Oh, you've got a lot of DR to lightning now. How much does this do? Oh, 26 to 39. Get that up. It's going to do even more when we have this up.
How may I help? Lava.
What? Die! That's it!
No good.
That's not very helpful.
If you could just do the knockdown, that'd help a lot. There we go. Well done, team. This is the hard mode for Act 4. Alright, this should be another Soul Guardian pillar.
Keeping an eye out.
I don't even know what we're supposed to be doing with these, except let's disarm this trap. Hello. A two-handed Morning Star. No one here uses those. Sneak attack bonus. Yep, none of that's important. I wonder if all of our gear and characters carry over to pillars too.
Quiet. Worth a look.
Alright, disarm. Disarm. Open. Okay. Open. Alright, this should connect. Oh.
My old pupil. You are a welcome sight, but a worrying one as you are so different now from who you were then. Yet much remains the same. Old troubles with a new face. What is it that has brought you here? A gallant gesture, if a bit misguided. And yet I suspect there is more to this than you have said. I can only guess your presence here has something to do
Correct.
with Thaos. The energy of this place changes when he is near. I don't know what he has done, but I do know of the souls that pass through here. After all this time, he would still stand against the tide. I will tell you what I remember. I can see his influence, still hanging like a weight about your neck. So it always was.
The last time. Oh.
He had inspired something in you. We spoke of him the last time you were here also. It was just after the trial. You were agitated. I think because you started to consider that what I was teaching may have been true. That the gods aren't real.
Huh. I'd dreaded the idea from the moment the Delimgon suggested it. And yet, it almost feels like a relief.
But
She's not serious.
I'm sure not real in a sense.
Many are those whom the gods have scorned. This is petty retribution.
Nonsense! Clearly she has not been on the receiving end of a god's ire. She'd know how real the gods can be.
What I taught was that the gods whose faith we had been spreading were not gods at all, but something else entirely. They were conceived by Engri, a society of high minds and broad concern.
Oh, good.
Thaos.
Great. Exactly what we need
their
in our
time,
lives.
Every people worshipped its own gods. Sometimes they warred over it. After a few wars of their own, generation after generation, they prodded and worked the stitching of the world and unlocked its secret. It shook them, this finding. If they could discover this on their own, how long until others would? How long before war and chaos reigned over a world without consequence? I never thought of it as faith, but I think you are right to call it that. I became a missionary because the gods brought me hope that I wanted to bring to others. For a time, the truth sent me to a dark place. Then the day came when I realized nothing had changed, that I still had a purpose, and the purpose was the same and it was worth living for. I began questioning the other missionaries in public, exposing their parlor tricks. In time, their following became mine. The Nguithan missionaries all knew it, but they never told the rest of us. They meant it to be a secret that died with them, and in the end, they allowed their bloodlines to fade from memory. I had been assigned to join a few of them at a temple. You asked me this once before. Nothing I can say would be any proof, and it may be certainty your soul craves. Everyone faces this truth at one time or another. Few confront it. Few have the... What if all the tragedy, all the persecution, came in defense of an imposter?
But that's not... That can't be right. Aethys, he's done miracles for people.
The power of the gods is undeniable. The truth of the story they weave is not. What if it were forbidden knowledge rather than fault that earned your doom? What of your guilt?
Yeah, Durance, what of your guilt?
With my own eyes, the deceptions of my goddess. The Watcher has shown me as much. But it was not until now that...
Durance, you're ignoring the question.
The depths of her deception.
You speak of her deceptions, but what of your own? Was it her words that led you down your path? Or was it the absence of her words? A gap that you filled with your own broken thoughts? What if you had always been alone, without guidance?
Well, as poorly as I've chosen my guides, I suppose it would be a comfort to know that I'm free of them.
The freedom has always been. It was the guidance that was the illusion. What if neither guide knew the way? How then would you choose a course?
Wael teaches us that the gods cannot give you lasting wisdom. They can only inspire you to find wisdom in your own time.
What if the cycle of birth and death is nothing more than a tool of endless preoccupation?
So that's actually a good point. Does everyone else think I'm just bringing this old lady wandering around with us? And the value is in the things we create ourselves.
Is this not the essence of motherhood? To create, cherish, nurture, to give of yourself for the sake of another. There is bliss to be found in the things we create, but sorrow as well. Every creation bears the imperfections of its creator, and its creator's creator. Art and song are creations, but so are weapons and lies.
Yeah, they're kind of different.
That our creations do not
Different overlapping circles
I
there.
ask these things not to trouble you, but to show why they must be confronted. No answer is simple, but somewhere between them all lies a truth so beautiful, not even a god could conceive it. Do we not owe ourselves a chance to find our part in it?
Of course, we're pro-truth
If
here.
that's truly what you believe, then you are a far different person than the one I knew. I've been alone here with my thoughts for so long now. I've found peace with my failures and with my punishment. I no longer curse fate for what might have been. But there is one thing that has clawed and scraped at my mind all these years. One thing that will not be put to rest until I know. Until I understand. I need to know why you chose to remain with the Inquisition, even after you'd learned the truth. Do you remember?
I don't know what the old us would have said, but whatever we say is going to be true.
Woodica gifted him a great many things, but his ability to manipulate was always his own. Good. Good. The things I taught, the things I believed, I needed to hear that. I needed to know it wasn't because...
Because what?
You were a blank slate to me once. A blank slate that I had taught the wrong things. I'd given you a false faith. I had to know I could undo what I had done. Redirect you to embrace the truth. You had heard both sides, seen everything. If not you, then who? I expected dissent. But I needed to know that true faith would prevail. Perhaps I've been wrong to place so much importance on one person's actions. It was all I could do to feel like there was an answer. Even knowing what you've told me, some part of me knows it doesn't truly answer what I wished to know, nor will an eternity of silent contemplation. I will have only my guesses and suspicions, and that will have to do.
Yep, that's true. We just can't know, and not knowing is honestly sometimes peaceful.
And what of your understanding of our past? Are you at ease with the choice you made? There is nothing to forgive. The fault was always mine. I led you down the path that led to Thaos. When I tried to steer you back,
Oh,
it
well,
was too late.
Ghost Lady and I can hug it out.
It's far worse than to have done wrong yourself. Long have I wished to make amends for this, but the time has long since passed. At first I thought this might be the source of your soul's anguish, but now I see I was mistaken. You are not divided on this matter. You have put it behind you. It is with Thaos that your agony lies, in sun and shadow. Your questions are not for me, but for him. And it may be that only an answer from the mouth of Thaos himself will satisfy your needs. Yet if there is anything I can tell you that would be of use, ask and you shall know.
We'll save the last one. Are you bound here?
This is Braeth Yamen, the court of the penitents. Souls are confined here until they repent.
The spite of Vodica is eternal. Ah, that sounds right.
Pledge their soul to them, and they will be lifted from this place to the world above. This prison was full once in the days of the Inquisition, but time weathers all things, even will. I'm the only tenant who remains. Yet, I feel their presence strongly now, as it was in the beginning. You have brought many of them here. They cry out for the judgment of Thaos. You have struck some bargain with the gods, then.
Technically, I made no promise to them.
Because they would bend you to their own purposes. Engwith built gods from ideals, and an ideal on its own is a grotesque and vicious thing. But these souls, these forgiven the gods have bequeathed you like chattel. They were loyal followers in life. They will be with you to the very end. Last time someone asked me that, I was bound to an iron wheel with a broken spine. There are many things I've come to doubt about the choices I made in life. But that trial was my one moment of certainty. Even without it, the gods need to be reminded that we have a spirit, and that spirit is proof against their power. They have the power to manipulate and confuse and ruin us, but not to change our will. I will remain here until the world crumbles.
Alright, how do you speak Adarian? You know what it is I need from Thaos?
For sure. But you have been to Sun and Shadow before, and it came at a crossroads in your life, when much of what you knew had been upended. His words mattered to you when you knew him then. After you and I spoke, you went immediately to seek him out. Perhaps you simply sought confirmation from the man you trusted.
Why is Thaos doing this?
The secret he keeps locked away. That's why he's always favored Woodica. It isn't in her love of promises or justice. It's her disregard for the rules.
Those don't seem to
necessary.
Connect.
To Thaos, she's not a deity, but an ally with which to conspire. When her power waxes, she does as she pleases with this realm, as well as if Thaos succeeds, there will be a shift in the balance of power among the gods. Woodica was vanquished once, when the other gods decided she had gone too far, and her power diminished. With this, you will not find a more resolute being on all of Eora. There is no offer you could make, nor spell you could cast, nor pain you could inflict that would make him reveal what he hides.
It's time for
Thaos
me to
will not
go.
wait for you. If you do not catch up to him now, you may never find him again. If I repent, all I have done has meant nothing.
No, this is radical freedom. She's telling the gods to screw them, and if that's what she wants to do, I am for it.
For my part in leading you to Thaos in the very beginning, I hope you can forgive me. If ever we should meet again.
Bye, Iovara.
Steady does it. So, it's true. The gods are a sham that people have followed for thousands of years.
Up we go to what I assume is Sun and Shadow. Search for Thaos. There we go.
Light, flame, and sound.
Speaking of light, flame, and sound, could someone
Correct me if I'm
cast
wrong,
light?
But didn't we note a rather sharp drop somewhere around here?
What's a ring of searing flames? Yeah, where's my light? I would really like to have some light. There we go.
Nice and quiet.
Okay, suitably dramatic for a final showdown.
Full of surprises, aren't you?
Incredible! I knew the builders could work wonders, but this is amazing!
Many spirits stir here, edged with anger, violence.
We light our own path now, Watcher.
Sure do.
Do that again. I had something in my eye. I missed most of it.
You dare.
Doesn't that just beat off?
It sure does beat
Here I
all.
was, wondering all this time whether all these terrible things were people's fault or the gods. Turns out they might be the same thing. Wonder how things would have gone different 15 years ago if the Raid Sarens had been told their god was made in some forge or kiln someplace. Would we still have gone to war? I could see the rebellion still happening, but I don't know that they would have invaded. I don't know. When Woden left for war, we had a fight. As brothers will.
What
him
about?
going off to war. He was set on it. But my parents warned him. They said you get a new country with every trip across the border, but your god, you only get the one.
Oh, I guess we were wrong about that.
I didn't know who was right. All I knew was I didn't want him to go. It's the same for families as it is for gods. You only get the one. I said every vicious thing I could think of, trying to change his mind. He brushed it off. Just got me madder, of course, him being so calm. He said I should come with him, but he'd understand if I didn't want to. Told me he'd better be able to face his god one day and answer for what he'd done. He said he'd keep that in mind. And then he was gone. By the time I'd cooled off, months had passed. One morning it dawns on me that my brother always knew better than me. If he was so sure of what he was doing, then I should be there with him. I packed my things and was on the road that same morning. Of course, what I didn't know then was he'd already changed his mind. By that time, he was dead on that field. Crossed my mind. You live in a place like Gilded Vale. You don't have a whole lot else to do other than think about things you don't want to think about. I hope that wasn't it. I hope he went there because it's what he thought was right. But it seems I'm not meant to know.
No, 2 is like rubbing his nose in it.
Still one more mess we gotta straighten out. Come on then. I still owe you one.
Aloth, what's up?
We've been lied to. Our whole lives, and many lives before that. And it's led us to put our faith in a pantheon of gods that never deserved it in the first place.
Most people are fundamentally decent. An actual true thing, I believe.
You're right. People will be better off finding direction on their own than following this farce. Besides, the gods haven't exactly done much to prevent us from slaughtering each other. If anything, they've only given us more pretenses for doing so.
Slaughter seems to come whether there's a god involved or not. If it wasn't a god justifying it, it'd be some other thing.
I've also been thinking. There won't be much left of Thaos by the time you're done with him, if I know how you operate. That will leave the leaden key headless. Perhaps it's best it stays that way.
Yeah, the leaden key is a terrible thing.
Over. I'll make sure that no one is able to commit his abuses again.
Good. We're a team. Honestly, I'm glad we brought these people instead of other people. Because who else really was there? Maybe Pelagia. Maybe she would have had something to add.
Laying low.
Oh hey, it's an actual new monster.
Yes? That's it!
Still hit it. It's still an enemy.
Margaret's fire casts light in dark places.
Well, I guess while we're here, let's do some last minute enchanting. We can do one. Oh, we could do. Yeah, sure. Enchant. Everyone gets a little white forged Durgan reinforced armor. Here we go, everybody. There we go. Stupid good. Everyone's happy. Let's move on. What is this? A Shadow Drake? Oh, hey. I'm sorry I zoomed out. That's great. Let's get Might out.
Yes?
We really need to bring down that Drake super fast. Hey, cat time.
Hey,
You deal with the Drake. Oh no, keep that out and kill that shade.
That's it.
Next. Expose some vulnerabilities there. Alright, beat up the Drake.
Yeah. That's it.
Alright, one dead Drake.
Sure.
Quiet.
I wonder if Kana would have had anything to say. Minor bracers of deflection. Figure it's featured.
Can it? It has to be. Wow! But I never thought he'd reveal himself in person. This is incredible. Even his form is fickle and unknowable. Amazing.
You understand the value of a mystery watcher. A buried scroll, a hidden truth. These are my ways. You unravel a thread, Watcher. One you have lost and discovered over generations. And following it to its end has only brought you back to the beginning. A nebula of souls, blind and brimming with potential. The answer to Woodika's question and the beginning of yours. What would you do with them? A song the world knows and tires of. The droning chorus repeated again and again. Better the improvised melody, the unfolding chant. The listeners sit rapt and
What?
none know. They could end up anywhere in the realms of gods or mortals, whole or divided. Discovering them again and charting their course through the ether will be a new mystery. No end, Watcher. That
No, that's terrible.
That is a word for endings, and this is but a crossroads. Even I.
No, we're not doing that. That's the worst of... Well, no, it's not the worst of the options. Alright. It is a pretty terrible option. Really wish we didn't. Alright, Aloth. Shadow Dragon. Get our big buff up. Oh, it's doing it again.
Breathe.
Good job. Let's put an end to it. Kill the Shadow Drake.
That's it.
If Thaos just turns into a giant shadow dragon, I'm gonna be very sad.
I'll see what I can find.
No. I assume the door is the way forward. And so we could continue exploring here to make sure none of the other... Well, I guess really it's really just Wodika who hasn't spoken up and told us what she wants the souls for. But I think we know. She wants them to be a jerk about them and overthrow the other gods.
Keeping quiet.
I shall be discreet.
My mind feels sharp as steel.
That's it.
Sagani might have had things to say. No, she's not really. Yeah, I think we brought the right people to
They
the
shall see
ending.
nothing while I see much.
Alright, let's give the jump a go. Because we can always just rest before we go through that door. We can always, yeah. Yeah, let's do it. Let's be brave and stupid.
Huh?
Where was it? Oh, that jumps to there. There is no getting over there. Okay. Alright. That's fine.
Laying low.
Alright. I feel... Okay, let's do that just in case. I'm all for puzzles and mysteries, but maybe not when we're using people's souls.
Nice and quiet.
Machine. Okay. Great. Very insightful. Thanks.
They shall see nothing while I see much.
Potion of bulwark against the element.
Ready to take the oath, to spread the word of the gods to the lost and heathen.
Right.
But Thaos knows it's all a lie, right? Well, what's Ring of Unshackling? Ring of Suppress Affliction seems really important right about here. Alright.
I am trusting you to remain loyal to the gods in this. If you do not, you will have greater powers than me to answer to. But you will...
But you will answer to them. Okay. Broad belt of power. They're just making sure that we're well equipped. Might of Resolve too. Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
They shall see nothing while I see. This is a missionary, same as I was. Taught the wrong things as I was.
Good job, Iovara.
Osionis. They have held off many would-be invaders.
Yeah.
You are ready to give a confession?
I am ready to hear one from you.
See, we didn't need this little trip down memory lane when memory lane was 5 minutes ago. Memories of the Ancients. Explore the... Oh! Quest completed. We have found Thaos. Is everything done except for the one we didn't want to do? Good. Oh, we're going to be slightly off-center for the dramatic scene. Hey, Thaos. Sorry.
You are far from your post, Inquisitor. What brings you here? It has many uses, but its purpose is to bring structure to the chaos that surrounds it. That woman sought only to destroy the foundations of peace and civility that my people sacrificed.
Of
They are
course.
monuments to Woodica's greatest servants among my people. I hope to join them myself.
Sanctum to Woudica.
Holy to Woudica. There are others like it in service to the other gods. I come here often to pray for her counsel, and in this space I may be assured that she hears me. The Inquisition was based on... What is a god? A higher power? A rewarder of good deeds and punisher of the wicked? Something men can turn to in their darkest moments when their days seem only like bridges from one tragedy to the next. Our gods are all these things. We are in a sacred place within earshot of the gods themselves. This is not the time. You've been through much these past few months. You will return home and you will rest. When you feel you have recovered, you may rejoin us at the trials. The Inquisition is far from over, and I will have need of you. There are many who continue to spread the lies of the apostate. The Inquisition will not end until we have pronounced judgment on all of them.
Alright, guys. So, a little issue there with him walking through the shadow,
How
but...
did you find it? Another in a string of acts of petty defiance. For all her knowledge, she always preferred spite over reason. Then she should have obeyed. I ask one thing of all my followers. She was incapable. A waste of rare talent and intellect. What have your cohorts, then. They have followed you to their deaths. Is it loyalty that brings them here? Or is it, as my agents suggest, that they have no direction of their own?
We went through a lot of trouble helping these people find direction in their lives.
You worshipped Aethys, did you not?
Your spies are good. What gave me away? The cape?
Yet when your god needed you the most, you chose your country.
We were being invaded. Not by anyone who was acting like a god.
Then I should think your hometown gave you a hero's welcome when you returned.
Well, they made cake. And I think you can expect folks to get jumpy when the gods aren't there to reassure them. Maybe if they weren't all too busy trying to kill each other.
Good job, Eder.
Argue over how best to prevent Kith society from destroying itself. These disruptions would not be necessary were mortal instinct not so diseased.
Tell him what
But
for.
Orlan, my agents tell me you are far from home, both in distance and in years. Have your friends proven a worthy distraction from the pain of ostracism?
We sure have.
Ostracism? Is that the name for the groin rash your mother gave me? Don't fool yourself, old man.
Really, your mom joke? God, Hiravias. Why here?
Me, then. Is it Galawain you serve, or is it Wael?
I serve no one, but I embrace the teaching of Wael. The eyeless face does not have servants, only students.
But such difficulty on the way. If you had only accepted that perhaps you were fit to serve neither god, just as you were unfit to serve your tribe, you might have saved yourself the trouble.
Perhaps you're too young to understand these things, perhaps, or mayhap too simple-minded. Without difficulty along the way, one isn't much of a student to Wael.
Yet I suspect you amount to little in your god's eyes in either case. You built a weapon that delivered exactly as promised.
I served my goddess as you did yours.
Durance, he's not gonna let you
The
get
other
away with
builders were
that.
slain, 11 of a dozen. Why not you? Were you somehow different? Redeemable in your god's sight?
He's got an answer to
Desire
this.
I had to be redeemed in her eyes was weakness, purged by the Watcher's sight.
Or was it merely that your goddess wanted you dead as well, and your delusions of importance prevented you from seeing the obvious?
I don't think Thaos is winning any of these
Charms, nothing
arguments.
But the spell's broke now, Thaos. The trial's over. I know friend from foe, and I've come here now to see a foe repaid.
You tell him,
You were able
Durance.
to destroy a god because another god wished it. Without her hand to guide you, you could not strike at a god any more than you could strike the sky. You are impotent, and not just from the pox. State your name and purpose, young acolyte.
My name belonged to the gods and my hand to their service. No more.
You serve none but yourself. Without contact with your order, you can have no higher purpose. Only the base concerns of the flesh. You have cast yourself from our ranks.
And I should have done it years before. I'd rather live in uncertainty than servitude.
And that uncertainty would lead you where it leads everyone. To doubt, to emptiness, to the many cruelties inspired by disbelief. You will have to forgive your Grandmaster for remaining skeptical of his initiate's choices. You are here because you are lost. The gods cannot reach everyone, I'm afraid. May you fare better in your next lives.
Oh, he's got nothing to say to the Grieving Mother?
Either you have had your soul awakened. Why else would you shadow my footsteps like some stray mongrel? You think I have something to offer you, but our business was concluded long ago. You think your abilities only flow in one direction. That isn't how it works, I'm afraid. Not for me. For all that you saw of my soul in the sanitarium, I saw as much of yours. I answered your questions once. That your soul is not fit to accept the answers is of little concern to me. I lied to no one. Not to you, not to anyone. The gods are real. They are everything we need them to be, and the world is better for it.
Yeah, number 4 feels good. Here you are committing your
The
own.
spread of our faith ended many such atrocities. I do what I must to ensure it continues to do so. The heart of this country has skipped a beat, nothing more. I have done far worse. I plunged the peaceful kingdom of Thaos into civil war. I slew the monarch of Desantio, whose people never knew hardship under his rule, and replaced him with a cruel despot who brought them to ruin. When plague arrived at the great city of Arborensis, I saw to it that the cure did not. They piled their dead outside the city in heaps that rose above their walls. That's where you are mistaken. There was a time, back when your soul was still a shapeless mist, when the world believed only in false gods. Thousands of them. Gods that told them to take slaves. Gods that told them to make war upon their neighbors and devour the slaves.
This doesn't sound too much different than a lot of the crazies we've met along the way.
As a sign of their faith.
Yeah, I'm not buying it.
All that changed when they learned of the true gods. Our gods. All those misshapen, bestial instincts melted beneath the radiance of our God's majesty. You could see it in their eyes. That dull emptiness replaced with the glimmer of a kindled spark. And replaced it with one far worse. Have you imagined this existence? The one the apostate would have created. We are not all so virtuous as she. Without our gods, the most wicked,
Which
the most
is what he's
tyrannical, would
doing.
take that power
I
for
don't
themselves.
buy this line of argument.
But more than that, it would be a hollow existence. All mysteries forever unanswered. All purposes constructed from meaninglessness. Endings to bring closure.
There's a wonderful series, I think 2,
Turning
about existentialism in the archives that I'll link. But no, you're underestimating people.
For all my years, I have seen exactly what they are capable of. What the apostate asked was beyond any man. All I have seen, the millennia of experience. I will not be dissuaded from this course. This is the only way.
You are controlled by your own
We're all
doubts.
Controlled by our own doubts. Better that we should be relieved of them. With your soul and thousands of others, I will see this world purged of its suffering.
I don't
Hear
think
me,
so.
Micah. Your servant calls for aid.
What's happening?
Roach 10!
Oh, we're getting blasted. Ah, a problem. Mordecai's judge. You know, step 1, take care of those. Get the blessing up.
Hey.
Eder. Say no.
Your thoughts
You.
must flow.
Can they be dominated? They are just resistant to domination. If you could.
How may I help?
Are you immune to being petrified? You're just really strong against it. 100. Okay, let's wait. Knock that down. Go. Go. Okay. We need, oh. Well, Thaos is mind controlled. If you would kindly take out the first judge. Maybe Thaos shouldn't have been able to be mind controlled. Alright. Next. get Aloth up,
Thoughts must flow
self-heal, knock down the judge, petrify Thaos. That's embarrassing. Hey. Bounce.
What?
Do that.
Yes?
Also bounce. Hiravias. Actually, just get into cat form real quick. Oh, hey, the judge is dead.
Yes?
So time to deal with Thaos.
Love.
Oh, everyone, get away from that explosion. Okay, get Thaos. Good. Hiravias. Alright. Just lay into him super good.
Hey.
And get on top.
What?
Hey, prayer against treachery. Will that stop confusion? Yeah, that'll stop charmed. Suppress affliction.
Yeah? I'm super.
Hey, do you mind? Yes?
Intercession.
Mow it.
No. Keep on there. Why are you not? Beat up Thaos.
That's not very helpful.
Get Thaos. Where is it? Major litany against major. That doesn't hit confusion, because that's what you've got, right? No, you're dominated, so yeah. Prayer against treachery.
Hey, do you mind?
Yeah?
Do that. It's really important you just blast Thaos.
Yeah.
Strip Thaos of his defenses.
Forgive me.
I didn't think anything could down the hairy fella.
That's the servant down and the mistress still to go. A good
Uh-huh.
worthy of being built upon.
Well, we'll worry about Wodika in a second.
But what's to stop him from being born again with the same ill intent? And before you suggest the option, no, I'm not eating his soul. I'll put almost anything in my mouth, but not that.
Thousands of souls he has tortured. Would that he could live those sufferings 1,000 times himself.
No, we're not doing
He's
that.
good serving his god, I give him that. But he should have picked a better one.
He spent his lives, more than any of us will ever know. For what? Binding the world to a lie. Could a man like that ever be redeemed?
standing where we're now. All turn towards the engines. Well, those are all choices. Returning it to the cycle is pointless. He'll just do this all again, and there's nothing we can do about it. Tearing his soul apart, banishing his soul, there can be no forgiveness for your deeds, only justice. You shall escape judgment no longer. Let me just make sure, that's where our friend is waiting penance, right? I want to get my proper nouns correct. It's Braith Iman. Braith Iman. Pillars. Yes. Okay. The ancient burial district. Okay. I mean, that I think is an option for it. I mean, it seems really mean. It seems really mean for our friend to sort of bind Thaos forever. Like, I don't like a lot of these choices. I don't like all of these. All right. One we can't do. That gets us nowhere, right? Your memory shall be your penance. No, it won't. He'll just keep coming back. It's what he does. Tearing his soul apart is a viable choice. There is forgiveness. That's kind of our thing. Your memory makes you a slave. No. No, we can't do 4. 4, we haven't been letting people just conveniently undo themselves with magic. So it's down to 2 or 3. Iovara is there by her own free choice. She can leave whenever she wants. And so, as long as she wants to stay there, that's fine. Right? But it's a horrendous thing to just trap him there forever and ever. And yeah, of our choices, I think number 2 is the only one we can do with a remotely clear conscience. So yeah, I think Hopefully this grants him some modicum of peace. Like because all of the souls end up back out in Rumgrand when you tear them apart, and then they get back to Bareth, who's a jerk. So yes, I think 2 is the one we can do with the cleanest of consciences, with the other 4 being all kinds of awkward. Well, now I guess we have to. Like, I feel like this choice isn't nearly as hard. Does Thaos have loot? Oh, thank God.
I shall listen for them.
As you approach the machine, the path underfoot suddenly changes. If you hadn't experienced visions like this already, you'd be tempted. There's Skaen.
You know something of quiet servitude, Watcher. Groveling and simpering before the gods whose aid you need, so that when they finally raise you to a place of power, you can seize what you desire. You have labored at the pleasure of others. That shriveled hag in Hadrit House, those preening soldiers with more taste for silk than steel, the wretched tribesmen playing out their fantasies of grandeur. And then you cowered and knelt before the gods themselves, begging one paltry favor and receiving riddles and visions in response.
I feel like the gods were pretty straightforward with us, actually, Skaen. Like, I don't feel like it was that much.
Orders and commands, even while you set out to fix what they cannot. Yet what have they offered you?
They didn't offer me anything because I told them I wasn't taking their deal. We never got to the point where we were negotiating terms. Hiravias both has wisdom and whatever that second part of his plan is.
The exiled queen is not an ungrateful patron.
Nope. I'm pretty sure whatever her plan is, we're saying no.
Finish the work Thaos began. Strengthen Woodica with these souls and allow her to become the most powerful of all the gods, with you as her favored.
Well, Durance, you and I are of one mind for once. No, but every now and then Durance and I end up on the same side in an argument. An interesting point, Aloth. I've explained the alternative. Continue as a partner of one. I won't help you.
Now, but when you're standing in front of the machine, considering the lifetimes and the powers that await you, we'll see what you do.
Yeah, no. Don't you worry, Eder. We're saying no. No to Woodica. The goal is to turn everything back to normal, to what it was before everyone started screwing things up, and before Widewind's legacy and Rodica screwed everything. That's our goal. Our goal is to fix it. And our goal, maybe I've been really loud this whole time and I didn't realize it. All right, machine. You and I have a job to do. You understand how it works. Not yet. Good. Everyone's got thoughts.
Victory looks good on you. There was a blur about your soul that lingers no more. Seems putting Thaos to rest has given you some measure of inner peace. Of course, now you need to decide what to do with these trapped souls. So many hopes and dreams, all of them torn from the cycle and trapped for Wael knows how long. You could set them free, nowhere in particular. Just free to go Wael knows where. Think of how many new lives and new journeys could start this very moment. It's all in your hands. I know you are the right person to decide the fate of so many. You helped bring me closer to Wael, and I believe Wael delivered you to this moment, this decision. It has been an honor to be...
See, putting it that way is not nearly as bad as the way Wael explained it.
Thaos, he had hold of your soul from a long time back, seems like. You get what you needed from him? Those can be hard to come by. I feel for people still looking for theirs. Easy to see what it means to them to have someone to look to for answers. You'll be feeling better soon then. Good. That's real good. You got it figured out what you're going to do about all that? Got a lot of people out there thinking they've been abandoned by their gods. There's not much that'll put... If it was in my power, and I know it's not, but if it was, I'd send every last one of those souls right back where they were supposed to go in the first place.
Yeah.
So folks could get back to believing what they used to. And after what you've been through, though, I'm sure you got your own ideas.
Yeah, I think Eder and I are kind of on the same side here.
Thaos may be gone, but his crimes, the wounds he has inflicted, remain. Yet before you lies an opportunity to heal, to restore. Only through the healing of families, repairing the bonds between parent and child, reforging the shattered links between generations, can the Deerwood be knit whole once more. People will long remember the legacy. Let them also remember the healing that followed.
We're all... Okay, Hiravias is the odd man out at the moment. Aloth?
I always knew the Leaden Key stood for something big, but I didn't quite realize what I'd gotten myself into. And now... But even if you send the souls somewhere specific now, who knows what the next turn of the wheel will make of them? We can't really control what happens to them. Nor should we try. I had to see the monster Thaos had become to realize that. It's your decision, of course. And what...
Thanks.
The end of the road greets us at last. You fared well, Watcher. Better than any Watcher has right to. Seems you were afield.
What? No, that's not how I'm gonna remember it, Durance.
Would that my own trial had produced such an outcome. I had figured myself for the field all this time. But you were the field, and I the darkness. A lesson neither of Durance nor of Margaret. But with that trial's end, a new one begins. A God's trial. And I will stand in judgment without mercy.
All right. So, all right. Return the souls to the bodies they were intended for. So that's going to be a lot of very confused wicks and ghouls and things. But then there's also that lady in Andra's gift with the baby who's still Hollowborn. Send the souls back into the reincarnation cycle. No. Okay, let's rule them out. 5 is out. Disintegrate the souls, ending their existence. So 3 and 5 are just out. Into the reincarnation cycle. Now, there's a place for some of them to go. I assume the ones that don't have a body to go to, that's what would happen to them, right? They'd end up back. So like 1 and 2, like 2 is 1 with an extra step. Distribute the essence to the existing souls in the Deerwood to strengthen them. I don't like that. And dispersing the souls to an unknown location. I don't like that either. Because then that poor like hollowborn baby is gonna have nothing. It's gotta be 2, despite the fact that there's going to be there will be a downside. Because people are going to be like, oh no. It would be like if at the end of the zombie movie, everyone realized that, hey, the zombies actually were going to be cured. So there's bad consequences to all of them, but 2 is the one I feel is the least bad of these. Close your eyes, find yourself fighting to keep them all within, and you feel them slipping away. A brief moment, and they're bending their orbit, new direction, and are we just gonna fade to we did just fade to
resonance and gathering up the
we did
swirling essence like thread on a great spindle. There, in the
fade to ending.
Machine that set you on this path long ago, you summoned all your strength, focusing on your objective and blocking out all else. With a single concussive blast that rocked the chamber and sent you tumbling to the ground, you freed the souls from their stasis.
All right.
Your consciousness slipping away, your last sight was of the machine, dark and dormant. Then your eyes closed, and sleep welcomed you at long last.
Well, I hope we had a way out.
When searching for some time, you discovered the route Thaos used to enter Sun and Shadow, and embarked on a long and arduous ascent back to the surface. You emerged in Ter Evron after days of tunneling through the rubble Thaos had left behind, and when you stepped into the daylight, you were faced with a different Deerwood than the one you had left.
Okay.
At your direction, the souls diverted by Thaos were guided back to the vessels originally meant for them. For the first time, parents of hollow-born children woke to the cries of their infants, and looked into their eyes to see them staring back. People fell to their knees where they stood, thanking Helia or Mogren, or even Aethys for their forgiveness of whatever guilt they felt they bore. But for all the relief that had come to some parents, others only found new grief. For many thousands of Hollowborn had died during Widewind's legacy.
Yeah, like I said, there was going to be a downside.
For those children, there would be no homecoming. Yet the last Hollow birth was in the past now, and those parents willing to risk trying for a new child were frequently rewarded, often with twins. Many felt they saw Helia's hand in it, and the year would be remembered as the year of Helia's splendor. Lord Radric's zeal had
Thanks, Bird Mom.
once, but it would not do so again. Radric's destruction at your hands spelled the end of his suffocating rule over Gilded Vale and the surrounding.
Screw you, Bareth.
In his absence, the village prospered, becoming a popular destination for new settlers anxious to leave Defiance Bay after the riots. Without a nearby ruler, it also grew more wild, with many settlers moving on as soon as they'd arrived, turned off by lawlessness that was excessive even by Deerwood standards. Nevertheless, despite the challenges of living there, Gilded Vale had survived, and would continue to survive for the foreseeable future.
Well, good, because Eder has to go home.
The assassinations of Duke Avar Wolfgren and Lady Webb, Defiance Bay was thrown into political upheaval. In the ensuing weeks, the streets had become the domain of looters and blackguards. Few dared to step outside their own doors alone or unarmed. But order was soon re-established by the Knights of the Crucible, who, despite their depleted numbers, had gained favor in the public eye for their role in the unraveling of the conspiracy surrounding Widewind's legacy, and were quickly reinforced by returning forces from Fleetbreaker Castle. For the Knights, their resurgence marked a return to the tradition as well. Having seen firsthand the dangers presented by dabblers in animancy, the Order quickly abolished the practice internally, preferring the
good.
familiarity of their hammers and
Considering they only messed everything up.
and Adra. Their identity rediscovered, the knights suppressed their political aspirations and began once again to train their recruits in the art of blacksmithing, recapturing the post-revolutionary ideals of Deerwood and regaining the respect of its citizens as a result.
That worked out for them.
The destruction of the machine atop Ter Noaneth spelled the end of the reanimated corpses in Heritage Hill.
Good.
Though at first few were willing to venture into the abandoned district, it was soon cleaned out and rebuilt. The district's horrors still fresh in people's minds. It would be some time before it was fully repopulated. But eventually the lure of cheap prime land would all but replace the
High five, things are going out well.
The apparent hands of an animancer had caused catastrophic rioting in the streets of Defiance Bay, and few animancers survived the first day. Many Deerwoodans took the end of Widewind's legacy as a sign, both that the gods did not approve of animancy, and that the purging of animancers
not the message we meant to send.
Satisfy them. In time, their rage would subside, and a number of surviving animancers remained in and around Defiance Bay, often taking to the wilds to practice their science without repercussions. The town of Deerford had seen the last of the cult of Skaen. Dark rumors about the town's many curses quickly faded, and travelers soon returned.
Well, good.
Abidon was restored but tempered, and the compromise that he and Andra sought played out in the Deerwood too. Skilled labor saw a revival in the Deerwood, and the country's architects, engineers, and masons transformed the broken nation into a modern marvel. Defiance Bay was rebuilt into a grand capital, and the roads that connected the country were paved into broad highways. On the other hand, expeditions to Engwithan ruins steadily declined, and the Deerwood found a more stable, peaceful relationship with Erglonfath.
Hey, peace is good.
With the Eyeless defeated, Stalwart redoubled its efforts to unlock the mysteries of Durgan Steel and create new marvels upon the White Forge. However, the villagers also realized that they would never achieve their ambitions on their own. To that end, they set aside their grievances and welcomed newcomers, Deerwoodans.
That seems good.
To their town. Stalwart grew not only as a hub for mining and metalworking, but also as a trading outpost, which Durgan's battery stood ready to protect. With this newfound prosperity came a generation of peace. The Flames That Whisper clan found a cautious peace with Stalwart, particularly once the villagers heard of the aid the ogres had offered against the Eyeless. The clan moved back into the Russetwood, and as Stalwart grew in prestige, the villagers formed a tighter alliance with their ogre neighbors. Within a generation, ogre traders visited Stalwart, and village hunters were welcome in the Russetwood.
Came across well, all right.
Death had brought the Devil of Carrick little satisfaction. In time, her taste for vengeance soured. What replaced it was a hunger to feel something, anything, new. Summer had thinned the snowpack twice over when she felt the joint at her elbow first begin to stiffen. She turned her back on the hopes of animancy and civilization and walked east. She pushed through the mountains, past Raid Ceres, and into the broad plains of Ishamiddle. She had forgotten what it was like to simply journey, no goal or destination in mind, though she felt nothing more than the steady thump of her
that's still feeling something.
endless horizons and grassy meadows were new to her. She measured her time in the gradual rusting of her body and was satisfied. Her movements slowed, but so did the world around her. Waist-high grasses undulated and tacked in the wind, as gradual as the tides. Sparrows and blackjays made steady pilgrimages across the sky, each flap of their wings a solemn salute. She could hardly move when she found something she had never seen before: the ocean.
Could have just gone to Defiance Bay.
She pulled herself beneath the water, content at last to feel the movement of currents and the constant caress of the waves. Sawa came to believe that the Dakan had survived through him. He returned to Ishamiddle, where he united a number of small, vulnerable tribes under the beliefs of his people. He called them Takanakin, kin of Takan, and under his tutelage, they became strong enough to resist would-be conquerors. Zawa taught his secrets not to one chosen person, but to all, that the line of knowledge might never be broken. Once Maneha had made peace with her memory, she decided the time had come to face her more recent past. For the first time in decades, she returned home to Rawatai, and she found that it had changed as much as she had. New districts had sprung up along the coast, while others withered into crumbling husks, and the streets had changed their course as surely as rivers. Her parents wept with joy at her return. They still ran the old spice shop, and in its many aromas and flavors, she found memories of
Well,
the places
good.
she traveled.
I mean, so far everyone seems to be doing all right.
She told her story, bottle by bottle, and began to build a life on the soil she knew best. The fortress of Cadnua emerged as a bastion of security in the midst of an untamed land, becoming the envy of every thane and earl in Deerwood. Legend grew over time of its impregnability, and stories of formidable invaders easily scattered by the keep's defenses became popular around the hearths of Deerwoodinians. Likewise, it also became a beacon to travelers, merchants, and visiting dignitaries alike. Reputed as the finest fortress in all Deerwood, people would journey from
It sure
and
is.
distant lands alike to experience its fabled hospitality and grandeur. After the death of the master below, a strange quiet fell over the endless paths of Adnua. The attacks on the fortress above ceased, Adnua's silent titan the closest remaining thing to a master in its musty, forgotten passages. Palagina had gone against the Duke's Bell's orders by inventing a new trade arrangement with the Anamenfath to accommodate the recovering Deerwooden market. With the Deerwood's people still weakened by Widewind's legacy, the Vailian republics easily pushed their would-be competitors out of the market. For her outrageous insubordination and audacity, Palagina was banished from the republics. She traveled north in the Eastern Reach, avoiding Vailian ports and entering the ranks of the kind wayfarers. Despite her bravery and dedication to those in her care, her strange appearance made her feel like an outsider wherever she went.
None of them have.
Hiravias took his leave of the party and,
Okay.
after his first bath in years, returned to his nomadic lifestyle. With his homesickness expunged, he found renewed joy and tranquility in his wandering survey of the wilderness. For the first time in his life, he ventured beyond sight of the mountains of Glonfath. During his travels, he penned numerous journals and sketches detailing his travels through frozen tundra, searing deserts.
He and Kana could have gotten along.
Wherever he went, Hiravias left behind stories of the Autumn Druid, a temperamental, one-eyed wise man of the forest, known to bring food to lost travelers and unusual advice to anyone willing to ask
Yes,
a question.
that sounds like him.
Eder chose not to return home to Gilded Vale. Through a number of quiet inquiries, he soon found his way into the underground organization of Aethasians known as the Night Market. Ironically, in learning that the gods had been fabricated, Eder found his faith in Aethus renewed, and that his god was neither alive nor truly a god had become irrelevant. He rose quickly through the ranks of the Night Market for his optimism and for his bold leadership, his ultimate goal to make the Deerwood a place that would welcome followers of the Shining God once again. When the dust settled in sun and shadow, Aloth looked upon the remains of Thaos Ixarchanon, his former master. He saw where the Grand Master had gone wrong and what would be required to undo the harm Thaos had wrought. With a flick of his wrist, he burned Thaos's robe, headdress, and every other symbol of the man's power. Never again, he vowed, should Kith live in fear and blind obedience to an authority they did not understand.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Armed with the knowledge and courage he had gained on his journeys with the Watcher, he set out on the long and lonely task of dismantling the Leaden Key. With the Watcher's goals accomplished and his own vows fulfilled, Kanarua sailed back to Tekoa. His friends and family found him much changed, for a pall had fallen upon the man, smothering his former enthusiasm. Called before the Lore College, Kana told them of the pain the Engwithan legacy brought to the lands abroad. He insisted that a search for answers abroad could only fragment the Rawatai people, as it had done to the Deerwood. His findings were met with much respect, and Kanarua's voice came to be considered an influential one in the growing move towards Rawatai.
That's not what we told him to do.
With Thaos defeated and the souls
Or maybe it
released
is.
from sun and shadow, healthy children were born once again in the Deerwood. The Grieving Mother sought a place where she might do penance for the birthing bell. She returned to Deerford, where, to the astonishment of the villagers, she delivered the first healthy child in over a decade. She remained there, and with each new birth, she saw a measure of hope restored to the Deerwood, and a measure of grace for her own troubled past. Durance used Mogren's strength only until Thaos had been cast from the world, and then swore off her influence entirely. Regret came to weigh heavily on his mind, and a man who had never previously lacked for words or opinions came to embrace silence and contemplation. He continued to wander, penniless and destitute, searching now not for the reason for his goddess's silence, but for a mechanism for revenge. The charred robes he continued to wear as a reminder that he had been burned by his goddess, and not just by the flames of the Godhammer. After 5 years of searching for Persak, Sagani's 4-month journey home felt longer still. The Deerwood, Aer Glonfoth, the Valian Republics became places on a map, endless expanses of green between her and Nasitok. Her homecoming was celebrated by all of Masuk, yet it was the reunion with Kalu and their children that truly brought her joy. She relinquished her role in the long hunts, and ever after, she and Itumak spent their days working in the village and their nights at her hearth. She watched her own children and their children grow and thrive. When she finally passed, she lay surrounded by the affection and tears of 5 generations. For you, the death of Thaos brought an end to your waking visions and a silence to the whispers of the past. In their absence, you were able to sleep. The questions of a distant lifetime ceased to trouble your soul. All that remained was what to make of the answer. But at the moment, there was little to be done, and the matter would have to wait. A long journey loomed ahead.
All right. That was the level up noise. Okay. Are these credits? These are credits. So let's talk through the game while the credits roll. Let's talk about the things that I feel like we should be able to unobjectively say everyone, I think, should be able to agree with. For the art style, I liked the art. I'm not a graphic snob like Jonas. I thought the graphics are perfectly serviceable. The portraits are great. The UI is a mess, but CRPG UIs are generally a mess, so forgivable. The music, I thought the music was pretty good, a little loud. The sound effects are a little but the music itself, great. I think the presentation is overall good. I did not like on the level up screens that I can't see what we get each level. It's in the manual. So if you have the PDF manual, you can look up a lot of it. Let me see if I can pull up the pillars. Let me pull up Chrome. Pillars manual. Pillars of Eternity 1 manual. Pillars of Eternity. Here it is. There it is. Nope, that's not what I want. Here. Okay, we need to create a new window. Remove yes. Add window capture, window capture. There we go. The Pillars of Eternity manual. Which, by the way, I wish I had a physical one of these because I love manuals. Races and sub tables. Tables are on page like let's just. This manual is really pretty. Hey, look, it's Skaen. Okay, continue down. Default controls, damage. Like, if you read this, you'll do a decent enough job at the game and understanding it. There's our hirelings. Okay. All of this. Oh, hey! They have a pronunciation guide for some things. I didn't realize that, even though I looked at this. Godlike. Okay, special abilities. Thick-skinned. Where are the level trees? Because that's what's helpful to me. Character ability scores, experience, and advancement. Oh, maybe it doesn't tell you in here. In which case, my criticism is reversed, and you should be able to dispositions. Okay. Skill advancement at first level. Alright. Wizard abilities. +1 spell. Yeah. Somewhere it should tell you what skill you get per level. Let's get rid of that. What else was I going to say? So, the character creation, I like that all of your stats try to feel important, but definitely perception, might, and might are way more important than everything else. So, and intelligence for anyone who wants to have good AoE. I feel like those, despite the attempt to make all of the stats feel even, those are definitely where you want to invest. I felt like every point I put into Constitution, like there's a lot of good Constitution stuff lying around. And even on hard, having 2 rests, you saw we didn't rest a lot in the open world. So I feel like our health was never a big issue. And the problem was that when health would be an issue, we were getting hit with AoE. So the weak people were going to force a rest. I think we saw this constantly where health was forcing a rest way more than spells were forcing rests. So there just wasn't a good balance there. And now we're going to hit the parts that I did not like at all. Which was, okay, let's keep talking about the good stuff. We'll save that for the very end. I liked the story. I read online that the writing is a little verbose, a little loquacious, a little unnecessarily long and flowery. And yeah, you kind of expect that from a CRPG. There are a lot of people who really like writing, and some of it worked well. Like when I read the books in the world, they felt fine. Oh, hey, we've wrapped. Overall, here, let me. Overall, I did not think it was bad. Overall, the writing was good. It had another problem where some of the individual side quests were really good, and others were eh. Like, the high points are basically Radric's Hold, the Temple of Skaen, and then nothing else really. Act 1 is kind of Act 2 is what? Defiance Bay, technically. You go out, you go find all of the clues about Thaos, you come back. I really didn't like the showdown in the Duke's Palace, because I felt like we made a balanced argument, like, about animancy, but the ending slide, that was the one ending slide I don't know. Everything else I feel pretty confident on. Makes sense. But that one I was like, but we were pretty clear that animancy is not, it's bad, but it's not at fault for the legacy. But, you can't win them all. I liked, if they wanted you as the player to feel like animancy could have been, positive, they needed to do a way better job of showing times when animancy didn't just destroy everything. Like, even the times where Thaos messes things up, there's so many times where he doesn't, and you get disaster. So that part is So we kind of can go through all of the Defiance-based side quests and things are kind of I don't really feel I didn't really feel there was much. So Act 2 is really, in my mind, the weakest point. Everything in White March is good, but a lot of the trash mobs are just lame. The 2 dragon fights we didn't talk our way out of, I don't know how good they are. But Sky Dragon didn't look like it would be tough, and Leningrath and her dragons were probably just going to require us to turn around, rest, get our accuracy up for Beast, go back, CC, and burn. But the big fights with the dragons were fun, but it's an example of when we get to the combat where is the weak point. The finale, everything in Twin Elms drags on too long. Like, doing all of the gods' tasks drags on way too long. It feels like that should have been, you get cut off from it, but then Twin Elms would be really fast. So Twin Elms drags on where Act 2 just sort of was scatterbrained and all of that. The final showdown with Thaos, fine, super easy, but it was gonna be because the game is supposed to end at level 12, and here we are at 16 with gear from 2 expansions. So I expected we would roll over Thaos. I am glad that the game ended at fighting Thaos. That there was no secret like it's the same thing with Chrono Trigger. I'm glad it ends with Lavos. There's not like a secret behind Lavos. Like Tactics Ogre, for example, could have ended perfectly fine with a showdown with Branton and the Dark Knights and been a nice little political intrigue wrapped up with a nice little bow. Same thing like Final Fantasy Tactics would be perfectly fine wrapping that up without any Lucavi or demons or Zodiac beasts, whatever they're calling them in the current translation. So I was glad this ended where it should. It was solid. I approve. Glad it ended. Let's hit the part that is bad. The part that's the worst is combat, which is bad because combat is such a huge part of the game. Can I turn down the sound a little bit? Yeah. Yes. All right. The combat is atrocious. And this is a factor of, so real time with pause is great when you have good or decent AI. Sword Coast Legends, for all of its problems, the AI would use all of their abilities, not correctly, sometimes on cooldown. Sometimes they'd put their AoE where they shouldn't, but they would at least competently attempt to use their abilities to some extent. Here, there were so many times you would watch, and Eder would just, it felt like the AI was stunted by not being able to see certain things. Not being able to see inherited abilities from those cross-class feats was a huge problem. Chanters and ciphers just blowing their resources willy-nilly was a huge problem. I wouldn't mind with ciphers. Here's an example. They would use dominate on things immune to dominate that we knew on mouse over were immune to dominate. I wouldn't mind if they would use it if they couldn't tell, but what is the point of me building the bestiary out, learning about these monsters, and then my AI companions act like they can't read a mouse over? Heavy armor did not feel good to use. It made us way too slow, and I think in the end, the only person using heavy armor was Muriel, and that's because she found heavy armor that had like a speed enchantment on it, so that it was, instead of like the negative 50%, it was down to like, 35 or so percent. Heavy armor just, the damage reduction didn't feel good enough. And the other problem is that, like, the Devil of Karax heavy armor is really garbage, especially for a dual-wielding rogue who doesn't have great dex. Like, the combat overall did not feel really good. I did like the customizability of the companion. That's why I built a bunch of nobodies to join us, because I liked that we had different ways we could build people and that they were effective. Like the idea is there, but it's one thing I like to point out is that the larger your party, the simpler each individual person in the party should be. Which is why I think like 4 to 6 is a good size. But you saw how complicated a lot of these fights would get. There was just too much going on to reasonably track it. And so we sometimes, like, there were several fights where I'd just be like, I didn't even realize we killed the boss. Because, like, a petrification landed from a rainbow wall or the bouncing ball of doom. It just, we need more control over real-time with pause mechanics if we're going to have 6 super micro-y characters. If you have fewer micro characters, for example, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, you don't have a lot of micro on your characters, except maybe your casters. So you can do real-time with pause there and it'd be fine. Kingmaker works in real-time with pause, same with Wrath of the Righteous, for cleanup fights and for buff and forget style play, where you just have like your 5 fighters all buffed up and they just auto attack to victory with a pile of immunities. But I never felt like our encounter powers were really getting used, and that's why the few fights that required me to do cool things like reposition with Ragdalin or the Devil of Karak or using Eder's charge at the end felt really cool. The other problem was from like levels 1 to 7, I didn't feel like we had a lot of options, and like maybe 5 to 9 we really started to expand. I did feel like non-casters being able to get encounter powers was really cool. A lot of people say that Pillars of Eternity is like D&D light, and it's true, but it inherited a lot from 4th edition that more games should. I know people are like, encounter powers don't make sense. How come you can only knock down someone 3 times? Because it's a game. Live with it. It makes it more interesting to have that. So the combat was serviceable at best, but I think, like, what does the game Path of the Damned, does it tell me exactly how much? A bonus to most stats. Like, all this is going to do is force me to eat consumables, to spend more time with Bless, and like it's more micro. That's not fun because real time with pause is so chaotic. Like you saw that with the dragon fights. Like, oh, do we have our prayer against this, our prayer against that, our fear immunity, are we pulsing our minor intercession so that Eder doesn't drop? Tracking if we've used our second chance on Eder and Muriel. It just so much to track. And what did we gain? Did we gain anything that we couldn't have had? I feel like if we had fewer trash fights, a turn-based mode that let us actually feel like a lot of this micro was good, it would help. I don't know how you would do status effects and things, but overall, the combat is the weakest part, I think, of Pillars of Eternity, which is bad for a game that has as much garbage, filler, copy and paste fights as possible. How many times did we clear a map and I was like, there was the same fight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a map. It's just too crowded. And apparently I went online and looked. I don't know if this is true, but several places have said, oh yeah, they thinned out some of the encounters. Can you imagine some of these places with even more trash fights? Games, it's okay to have less combat, but better. Less, but better. That's what Pillars of Eternity 1 needed, combat-wise. Overall, the combat, I think, also, if you turn it down to normal, required, it forgives, it's not recommended. I don't see how this could be not recommended, because hard was, there were a few places where it was hard, but it kind of wasn't. Like, I think if you go to normal, and definitely if you go to easy, I think you're gonna have a much easier time. I think dropping it down in difficulty removes a lot of the enemies, which is super helpful, especially on like the vampire fights, the evil dryad fights, where there's just so much mind control in CC. I think that drop from hard to normal, even if the monster stats don't go down too much, just the fewer of them is better. I do think hard, like, there were several points that were hard. There were points that were frustrating, but it never reached a point where I was just like, let's give up on this. New game. We're not actually going to get very far. I just want to get to the character creation screen. There we go. So this is going to give me the character creation screen, right? Come on, load. Done. So let's go over everything. Male, female doesn't matter for what we're doing here. Well, Jeremy was male, so we'll make her female. So I think they did a good job with the races being both kind of just part of the world, but each having their own feel. I feel like we didn't get a lot with the godlike, which is a shame because maybe Pallegina was supposed to be that representative, and I just didn't use her enough. But yeah, this felt the most disappointing because I thought we would get a lot of. Kana gives us a lot of this, and then later we get Minea to give us more. Sagani is an excellent representation for the dwarves. Elves, I'm glad we didn't spend too much time on elves. We all know elves. Orlin, I was an Orlin. Hiravias was an Orlin. I feel like they did a good job making the races different. It was good. The classes, I liked the build diversity. I said this already. We had Durance as a like support caster. We had Muriel, who was a full tank caster. Our paladins. I don't think we had a traditional paladin at all. We had dual wield Pallegina as a tank. We had Larista the ballista. Our barbarian, Brazgan, we barely used, but he was pretty much a traditional barbarian with Minea being a full-on tank. Chanter, we only had Kana, and I wish we had had a second Chanter. I thought Chanters were cool, and I feel like I underused them. If I ever play a game for Pillars again, I'll probably make my main a Chanter just to get more use out of them. Grieving Mother was really a fun character to have, but Ciphers feel way too strong because it's way too easy to land domination and mind control, which is way too huge. Ciphers probably could be brought down a peg. Like, even just moving that mind control talent from level 1 to level 2. I don't know. Whatever. Ciphers were really good. Ranger, I liked our tank ranger. She was fun. She helped us take Radrix, and then she sort of got lost behind, as most of our people did. Sagani was a surprise. I thought that I wouldn't like Sagani as a character because I thought she'd just not do anything interesting, but I ended up really liking Sagani as a character. Same with Hiravias. I didn't know if he would end up cool or not, and he ended up pretty neat. Our other druid, Lelius, was just a bear tank, nothing exciting. Devil of Karak, I don't know how I feel. Like, she was good writing, interesting story, good. I don't like that they gave her heavy armor as a must-have. That was awkward. Our crit axe rogue that we built is just an example that you can build rogues in a couple of different ways. Aloth and Daramir were both wizards. Aloth's story is pretty cool. Would say you should definitely help him out. Eder I honestly thought Eder was pretty cool. I liked him as a character. I liked that they gave us a fighter pretty early. He was our only fighter, and I feel bad because I wanted to do more with fighters. So maybe a fighter or a chanter for if we ever do it next time. Coggins was our tank monk, and then Zawa was our staff fighter monk. And monks, they were cool, but we got Zawa so late, and Coggins as a tank just didn't really I never ended up using him. So there we go. There are our casters. We talked about our classes. We've talked about our attributes. I liked their system. We're just going to put everything into resolve so we can go next. The culture, it came up a few times, and that was cool. I liked that it mattered where you were from, even if it didn't matter a lot. Our drifter background came up a few times. So overall, I really liked everything there was there. If you don't care about combat, or if you're fine with the issues that exist in the combat, yeah, this is a solid recommend. So like I said, I'll probably somewhere like between 6 and 7, and then we could push it down to between 5 to 8, mattering on how much you like the CRPG, real time with pause, Infinity Engine stuff. So overall, I enjoyed it. I think next will be Pirates of Realm Space, because I've never done any of the gold box games, but there we are. Pillars of Eternity, with both White Marches done. So, thanks. That was surprisingly fun. I thought it would be, there were times where it was a bit of a drag, but overall, like I said, I think it's about a 6 to 7. We'll say 6.5 to give it a number, and then 5 to 8 range is reasonable based on how much you like the genre, with the obvious exclusions. If you never play RPGs, well, A, why did you watch all of this? And B, you won't give it a high score if it's not in. So there we are. Pillars of Eternity. And let Eder pet all of the animals. All of them. Even the Stalgars. Oh, wait. Before we go. One last Otter Adventurer. One last Otter. There we go. We'll find new things for our thumbnails for the other adventures in Pirates of Realm Space. All right, bye.